Have you ever wondered why some family fortunes seem to disappear in a single generation, while others last for centuries? It's a puzzle, right? We see these flashy displays of wealth all over social media, the supercars, the mega mansions, the logos everywhere, and we think, okay, that's what being rich looks like. But what if I told you that the families who stay wealthy for generations, the so-called old money dynasties, are playing a completely different game? What if their secret isn't about how much money they make, but about a hidden system of spending and saving that's designed to make their wealth last forever? This isn't about being cheap. It's not about clipping coupons or skipping lattes. It's about a brilliant financial architecture, a deep-seated mindset, and a handful of powerful, often invisible legal tools that shield their money from taxes, lawsuits, and the bad habits of unprepared heirs. This is a world where spending is strategic, assets are fortresses, and wealth isn't just preserved, it's engineered to grow decade after decade. There's a well-known saying in wealth management that should be terrifying. 70% of wealthy families lose their fortune by the second generation. By the third generation, that number jumps to 90%. 90%? That means only a tiny, elusive 10% of families manage to build a real legacy. So how do they do it? How do families like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, and the Cargills manage to not only hold on to their wealth, but grow it for centuries through market crashes, wars, and massive social change? The answer is a complete paradigm shift from how most of us think about money. It's not luck. It's not picking one winning stock. It's a disciplined system of spending and asset protection that the public almost never gets to see. They don't just spend money, they deploy it. They don't just own assets, they control them from inside impenetrable legal fortresses. In this video, we are pulling back the curtain on the financial blueprints of the ultra-wealthy. We're going to reveal exactly how they spend their money in a way that makes sure it almost never runs out. We'll get into everything from their surprisingly low-key daily habits to the complex legal structures like dynasty trusts that create a system where wealth just keeps growing, building a financial dynasty that can outlast empires. Section 1. The foundation. It's not spending, it's structuring. The first huge mistake people make when thinking about wealth is focusing on income. We ask, how much do they make? Or what's their salary? The old money playbook starts with a totally different question. How do we protect what we have from everything and everyone? Before a single dollar is spent on a luxury car or fancy house, the foundation is built. And that foundation isn't made of bricks and mortar, it's made of legal code. The main goal isn't to spend, it's to structure. This brings us to the first pillar of keeping wealth for generations, the fortress of trusts. For most people, a bank account is where money lives. For old money, the home base for their wealth is a trust. Think of a trust not as a bank account, but as a legal fortress. It's a private contract you create to hold and manage your assets. And here's the game-changing idea. Once assets like stocks, real estate, or company shares are moved into the trust, they are no longer owned by a person. They are owned by the trust itself. This isn't a tiny detail, it's the whole strategy. Because an individual doesn't technically own the assets, they become almost untouchable by the things that usually destroy wealth. Going through a messy divorce, the assets in an irrevocable trust are typically shielded. Facing a massive lawsuit, creditors can't grab what you don't personally own. This idea of separating personal ownership from control is the bedrock of their financial defense. Now, in the world of trusts, there's a crown jewel, a tool so powerful some call it the ultimate wealth preservation machine, the dynasty trust. Just like the name sounds, a dynasty trust is designed to last for generations, sometimes for centuries, or even forever in some states. For a long time, laws prevented trusts from lasting indefinitely through something called the rule against perpetuities. But in the last few decades, many states have gotten rid of this rule, paving the way for these perpetual wealth machines. Here's how it works. Across generations, a wealthy founder, let's call him the grantor, puts a huge chunk of assets into a dynasty trust. For 2025, an individual can place up to $13.61 million into a trust like this without triggering the generation skipping transfer tax, GSTT. Once those assets are in, they can grow and compound year after year, decade after decade, completely outside of the normal estate tax system. When the grantor passes away, there's no estate tax on those assets because the trust owns them, not the person. The grantor's children can then become beneficiaries. They can receive money from the trust to live on, to pay for education, health, and living expenses, all based on rules the grantor set up. But here's the key. They never actually own the underlying assets. When they pass away, the assets stay in the trust, again, dodging estate taxes, and their kids, the third generation, become the new beneficiaries. This can repeat for hundreds of years. The wealth compounds without getting chopped by 40% or more by estate taxes every time it passes down. It's a slow, methodical, and almost unstoppable engine for growing wealth. The Rockefeller family is a classic example of this strategy. John D. Rockefeller put the bulk of his massive fortune into trusts back in the early 20th century. Those trusts have cascaded down through the generations, supporting the family's lifestyle and philanthropy for over a century. The wealth has been remarkably preserved, not because every heir was a financial genius, but because the structure Rockefeller built was so brilliant. Beyond dynasty trusts, they use a whole toolbox of other trusts for specific jobs. Charitable trusts let them fund causes they care about, build a positive family legacy, and get major tax deductions at the same time. Special needs trusts make sure a vulnerable or disabled family member is taken care of financially without losing their eligibility for crucial government benefits. Each trust is a specific tool for a specific job, all working together to create a defense system around the family's capital. This isn't just saving money, it's building a financial ecosystem designed to be immortal. Section 2. The Engine of Growth. The Never Touch the Principal Rule. Once the fortress is built, the next question is simple. How do you live your life without tearing down the walls? The newly rich are famous for selling assets to fund their lifestyle. They'll sell stock to buy a yacht or cash out a business to get a private jet. They treat their main capital like a checking account. Old money has a core rule that is drilled into every generation. You never, ever touch the principal. Instead, you live off the income the principal generates. This is the second and maybe the most important rule of old money spending: mastering cash flow. Imagine your family's fortune is a golden goose. The new money move is to sell the goose to have a giant feast. The old money approach is to protect that goose at all costs and live comfortably off the golden eggs it lays every year. The goal is to create so many streams of golden eggs, dividends, interest, rent, that your lifestyle is more than paid for without ever having to sell the goose itself. This requires a total shift in your thinking. A $10 million fortune is not $10 million to spend. If it's invested to generate a conservative 4% return each year, it's a $400,000 a year income stream. That's the money you spend. The $10 million itself is sacred. This discipline is what powers perpetual wealth. To create this reliable income, old money families are masters of diversification. They don't bet the farm on one hot stock or one risky startup. They build a portfolio designed to survive any storm by spreading their investments across a huge range of assets. It looks less like a lottery ticket and more like a finely tuned machine with backup engines. First, you have the bedrock: income-generating real estate. This is a classic old money asset. They don't just own a big family home. They own apartment buildings in major cities, commercial properties with long-term corporate tenants, and vast tracts of farmland. These assets aren't always sexy, but they are incredibly reliable, providing a steady stream of rent that usually grows with inflation. Next up is the core of their liquid portfolio: blue chip stocks and bonds. They invest in stable, dividend-paying companies, the Coca-Colas, Procter & Gamble's, and Johnson & Johnson's of the world. These companies aren't going to double overnight, but they are famous for paying and increasing their dividends for decades. These dividends are the golden eggs that provide cash flow. Bonds, especially government and high-grade corporate bonds, add another layer of stability and predictable interest payments. Then there's the growth engine, private markets. This is where old money has a serious edge. Through their family offices and networks, they get into investments that are totally off-limits to the public. This includes private equity, directly buying into established private companies, giving them more control and potentially higher returns. Venture capital, funding the next generation of startups. It's higher risk, but the payoff can be enormous. Private credit, basically becoming the bank. They provide loans to businesses and collect high-yield interest payments. Hedge funds, using complex strategies to make money in both up and down markets. Finally, they hold tangible assets like gold, art, and fine wine. These don't always produce income, but they act as a store of value and a hedge against inflation, a kind of ultimate insurance policy for their wealth. The key is how it all fits together. The real estate and bonds provide a stable income floor. The stocks provide a mix of income and growth. The private investments are the horsepower for long-term appreciation. This isn't just don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's a deliberately engineered ecosystem where every asset has a job. This disciplined, cash flow first approach lets them fund a luxurious lifestyle, if they want, entirely from the profits, leaving the core principle untouched to grow for the next generation. Section 3. The Guardian, the Family Office. So who manages all of this? A global portfolio, a web of trusts, and complex tax laws aren't something you can handle on the weekends with a brokerage account. The sheer complexity of managing generational wealth demands a level of professionalism that it's hard to even imagine. This brings us to the third critical piece of the old money system, the family office. If a dynasty trust is the fortress, the family office is mission control. A family office is a private company that manages the entire financial and personal life of one single ultra-wealthy family. It's like having your own in-house team of elite experts whose only job is to protect and grow the family's fortune. Think of it this way. An affluent person might have a financial advisor, an accountant, and a lawyer, all at different firms. Communication gets messy, and strategies can be misaligned. A family office brings all of that expertise and way more under one roof. Just how much does a family office do? The scope is staggering. Their main job is investment management. They have teams of analysts who source, vet, and manage all the family's investments, from stocks and bonds to private equity deals. They get access to exclusive institutional-level deals you'd never see as an individual investor. Next is tax and legal strategy. The family office has tax attorneys and accountants working year-round to legally minimize the family's tax bill. They manage the trusts, make sure everything is compliant, and structure investments in the most tax-efficient way possible. This isn't filing taxes once a year. It's proactive planning that can save the family millions over the long run.
They also handle estate and succession planning. The family office is the guardian of the generational handoff. They work with the family to prepare heirs for their future roles, run family meetings, and make sure the transition of wealth and control is smooth, avoiding the conflicts that can tear families apart. But it often goes way beyond finance. Many family offices provide lifestyle management. This can mean managing household staff, arranging travel, and even providing personal security. They also often run the family's philanthropic endeavors, helping them support causes that align with their values. This centralized structure professionalizes the act of being wealthy. It transforms it from a bunch of individual decisions into a single, cohesive enterprise. It's the operational backbone that makes the entire system of generational wealth work. If you're finding this look into the hidden world of the ultra-wealthy fascinating, and you're starting to see that keeping wealth is a skill, not just a number, then make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're just getting started, and understanding these strategies is the first step to using them in your own financial life. Section 4. The mindset. Spending with a purpose. Okay, so you have an indestructible financial fortress and an engine that prints money. The whole system can still fail if the people inside have the wrong mindset. New money often falls into the trap of conspicuous consumption, spending to show off. They buy things to prove to the world they've made it. This is a game old money flat out refuses to play. Their approach to spending is the fourth and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle, the art of stealth wealth. This isn't about being cheap. It's about a deep cultural difference in why you spend money. For old money, spending isn't for showing off, it's for buying one of three things: quality, experiences, or assets. Anything else is often seen as tacky, and even worse, a bad use of capital. This stealth wealth approach is a conscious choice, rooted in a philosophy of privacy and long-term thinking. Let's look at their spending habits. First is an obsession with quality over quantity. They live by the principle that it's better to buy one thing that will last a lifetime than 100 things that will be worthless in a year. You'll see it in their clothes, a classic, well-made coat that can be worn for 30 years, not a closet stuffed with fast fashion. You'll see it in their watches. An old money heir is more likely to wear a Patek Philippe or a Vacheron Constantin. Yes, they're incredibly expensive, but they're also seen as assets, masterpieces of engineering that hold or even increase in value. The old money equivalent might be a diamond-covered hublot that loses half its value the second you leave the store. Before buying something big, they ask a simple question: will this be worth anything in 10 years? If the answer is no, they'll probably skip it. Second, they pour money into education and experiences. Old money families see human capital as one of their most valuable assets. They will spare no expense on the best possible education for their children, from elite prep schools to Ivy League universities and world travel. This isn't just for a fancy diploma. It's about building a global network and critical thinking skills. They would rather spend $100,000 on a year of study and travel for their child than on a depreciating supercar. The travel builds perspective, and the education builds a more capable future guardian of the family's wealth. Third, their defining trait is discretion. This is the heart of stealth wealth. They deliberately avoid showing off. They might drive a 5-year-old Volvo or a Jeep Grand Wagoneer instead of a new Lamborghini. Their homes may be huge, but are often hidden from view down long driveways. This privacy is a form of protection. Flaunting wealth makes you a target for lawsuits, for fraud, and for social resentment. By keeping a low profile, they can build real relationships based on shared interests, not the size of their bank account. This culture of discretion is taught from day one. Children learn that talking about money is tacky. They're taught that their family's wealth is a responsibility, not a personal trophy. It's the cultural software that runs on the financial hardware, making sure the entire system stays stable for generations. Section 5. The legacy. Engineering the future. The biggest threat to a family fortune isn't a market crash or a tax bill. It's an unprepared heir. The old saying, shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations, isn't a myth. It's a reality born from a failure to pass down not just wealth, but also wisdom. Old money families are obsessed with avoiding this curse. This leads us to the 5th pillar of their success, a culture of financial education and stewardship. For these families, money is never a taboo topic. From a young age, kids are slowly brought into the family's financial world. This doesn't mean giving a teenager a credit card with no limit. It's a structured, long-term education. It might start with simple lessons on budgeting and allowance. As they get older, they might be invited to sit in on family meetings, at first just to listen and learn the language of investing. Later, they might get a small training portfolio to manage, letting them make real decisions and real mistakes in a controlled environment.
The most important lesson they're taught is the difference between ownership and stewardship. The new money mindset is, "This is my money, I can do what I want." The old money mindset is one of stewardship. This is the family's capital. I am its current caretaker. My job is to protect it and hopefully grow it for the next generation. This reframes wealth not as a personal jackpot, but as a serious responsibility. To formalize this culture, many families create a family constitution. This is a document that lays out the family's core values, its mission, and the rules for how the family will interact with its wealth. It might define what it takes for a family member to work in the family business or the process for making big financial decisions. It acts as a North Star, keeping everyone aligned and heading off the conflicts that can poison relationships. Philanthropy also plays a huge role in this. It's used as a hands-on tool for teaching financial responsibility. Younger family members might be given a budget and told to research charities for the family foundation to support. This forces them to think critically about how to deploy capital effectively and work together toward a common goal. It connects their wealth to a purpose bigger than themselves. By instilling this culture of stewardship and providing intense financial education, old money families are not just transferring assets, they are transferring a legacy. They are vaccinating their heirs against the entitlement and recklessness that destroys 90% of family fortunes. Section 6. The Unseen Shield. Advanced Tax and Legal Strategy. Beyond the trusts and the mindsets, there's another layer of protection. This is the world of sophisticated, often obscure legal and financial tools that act as an invisible shield against the two biggest predators of wealth: taxes and lawsuits. This is the sixth and final pillar: building an impenetrable defense. The goal here is tax efficiency, structuring every part of their financial lives to legally minimize how much is lost to taxes. We already talked about how dynasty trusts help them skip estate taxes, but the strategies go much deeper. It's crucial to note these are complex, legal tax planning strategies, not tax evasion, and they often face heavy scrutiny from regulators. One powerful tool is something called private placement life insurance, or PPLI. This isn't the life insurance your local agent sells. PPLI is a specialized product for accredited investors that basically works like a tax-free investment wrapper. A wealthy person can put all sorts of investments, like hedge funds and private equity, inside a PPLI policy. Once inside, those investments can grow completely free from capital gains and income taxes. The money can be accessed through tax-free policy loans, and when the owner dies, the entire pot, including all the growth, passes to their heirs as a tax-free death benefit. It's a complex tool, but the long-term tax savings can be astronomical. Another key strategy is using legal entities to compartmentalize assets and limit liability. They almost never hold major assets in their personal name. Instead, they might use a series of limited liability companies, or LLCs, or family limited partnerships, or FLPs. For example, each apartment building might be owned by its own separate LLC. This creates firewalls. If a lawsuit happens related to one apartment building, the liability is stuck inside the LLC that owns that single property. The claimant can't go after their other real estate, their business, or their personal homes. And that right there, that careful legal architecture, is a huge difference between amateur wealth and the pros. Finally, they are masters of gift and estate tax planning. With the federal estate tax exemption set to be cut roughly in half at the end of 2025, wealthy families are strategically using their gift tax exemptions now to move assets out of their taxable estates and into those irrevocable trusts we talked about, locking in the benefits of today's more favorable laws.
So, how do old money families spend money without ever losing it? It's not about being frugal, it's about having a framework. It's a complete interlocking system designed for one thing: permanence. It starts with structure, building legal fortresses like dynasty trusts to shield assets from taxes and creditors. It's powered by a core rule: live off the income, never touch the principal, which is fueled by a diversified portfolio of high-quality assets. It's managed by professional guardians in a family office who bring elite expertise to the table. It's guided by a disciplined mindset of stealth wealth, where spending is for quality, experiences, and assets, not for showing off. And finally, it's passed on through a culture of stewardship, where heirs are trained not as owners, but as caretakers of a legacy. The secret of old money is that preserving wealth isn't an accident. It's a deliberate, highly engineered act. It's the understanding that true wealth isn't a dollar amount, but a self-sustaining system. And while the scale of their money might seem out of reach, the principles are not. The mindset of thinking in generations, not just paychecks, of prioritizing assets over income, of valuing knowledge over luxury, these are lessons anyone can apply. You can start by adopting just one of these habits. Create your own spend on assets rule so that a part of your income always buys things that grow in value. Start having open conversations about financial values with your family. Because building a legacy, no matter the size, starts with the decision to think beyond your own lifetime. Now that you understand the hidden system old money uses to protect their capital, you're probably wondering what kinds of assets they're actually putting in those trusts. To continue this journey, click on the video on your screen now, where we break down more old money secrets you've never heard of. You won't want to miss it.